Professor Slashpine here. This is 2025, October 25th. I'm reporting from Cyantown. The rumors about Cyantown, they were true. The residents, they have a sort of shrine to a proto-Charmander. The stories that detail exactly what I've assumed all along. I'm going to recount their tale here. So long ago, in their grandfather's time, it was a village full of animals. Horses, cows, squirrels, salamanders in the stream, birds in the sky. Bone broth stew was mentioned. Then the Cappy came. They had just celebrated the Gilded Lady meteor shower. It comes around. So just days later, as the winter winds first washing over the village was gripped with unease, they told me. They felt they were being watched. A child saw the Cappy first. It was just eyes in the forest, watching from the shadows. Others saw them too, and soon most of the village had seen them. A pair of small eyes, close to the ground or even in the trees, moving as if they were floating, no footsteps. One of the village matriarchs remembers hearing her grandfather tell her about birdsong. And the Cappy had scared away the birds. Then the squirrels. The horses and cows would go crazy in their stables at night. Well, spring changed everything. They found a child. It was a little boy standing alone at the forest edge, wearing just the typical schoolboy outfit. An old woman hurried over to scold him for approaching the woods alone. And when she turned him to face her, she died of shock. The villagers were near enough to see, but none so close. The boy looked perfectly normal, except his face. It was ghoulishly simple. Just two black dots for eyes, and a line where his mouth should be. And the villagers, 100 or so, reacted understandably. The men rushed for weapons and then charged the Cappy. And when it ran, its arms and legs swung like thick udon noodles. They breached the forest, and it was gone. Quote, like a spirit in the wind. Now the men, they hunted while the women tended to the old lady. Nothing was found, but the hunters swore they felt eyes on them from every direction. They listened for footsteps, but the forest was silent. Dead silent. Not a pigeon, a rat, a squirrel, deer, even beetles. Dead silent. They packed all night, and the next morning most of the village began the walk to Yellowtown. A few refused, but they were the loners, and only a few of them. The rest took their horses and dogs, but left a few cows for those who stayed behind. Some say no one returned for 10 years, others for 20. When the few old Cyan villagers came from Yellowtown, they brought a small militia to see their abandoned village. Cyantown was different than they remembered. The birds are plentiful, but they were different. The rats, too, even the squirrels. They were fat with happy faces. The displaced village elders swore they were Cappy. They say, quote, Cappy stole the image of a boy. Cappy stole the image of a bird. Cappy stole the image of a rat. Cappy stole the image of a cow. Real animals had bones, hearts, livers, fur. The Yellowtown militia found, as they reported in my last entry, Cyantown seemed perfectly normal. The new birds and rats in the region had taken hold in Cyantown as they'd made footholds in Yellowtown, nothing concerning enough for the tale to continue. With reluctance, some displaced citizens of Cyantown returned, and life quickly went back to normal. The locals knew the story from their recently deceased parents, but many of them were young enough to not know the elders personally. Years went by with no more Cappy sightings, and life returned to normal. A new crop of babies were born, celebrated as a sign of a new era for the town. Now, as a personal note, my hypothesis is that all of our Poke friends are actually related, descended from a single mimic type mon, which is supported by the story of Cyantown. And I now believe that mimic type mon arrived from the Gilded Lady meteor outside of Cyantown. It then reproduced and took on the forms of life it found in that region, eventually outcompeting the native fauna. And over time, each animal form taken on became permanent or semi-permanent, establishing the types and egg groups that we have today. As for the legendary types, my suspicion is the mimic types occasionally take on a form in their imagination or even from a dream. And once they lock in, that form can become permanent. But for all the mons, reproducing while in a form likely creates offspring that's unable to take on any other form. None of this is yet proven, but several professors across the country are committed to testing various parts of my proposed model. You know, there is more archaeological evidence now than ever to support the idea that animals were once fragile and cellularly complex, but it's not yet proven. Animal bones have been found, but the science is still in its infancy. While it's popularly understood heart, spine, brains, and guts are expressions for personality traits, some in Cyantown hold firm that these were all pieces of animal biology. Now, what they can't explain to us is how or why animals might have had these, but not people.